spend a lot of time setting up new Macs for this channel, and it takes a lot of work to set up all the system configurations and the Finder settings and application settings and downloading apps and installing apps and trying to get everything the exact same. Sure, you could use Time Machine or Migration Assistant to move everything from the old computer to the new computer, but sometimes you don't want to move everything. You don't want to move a bunch of leftover crap and applications from the old computer to the new one. And honestly, Time Machine likes to fail a lot anyway, so I don't really trust it. So instead of trying to manually set up every single computer so that they are the exact same, I created this migration toolkit, which is a set of scripts that allows you to move just the things that you want. Things like apps that you downloaded from the Mac App Store, or your system settings and dock preferences, or specific files that you want to move, or even third-party applications that you don't want to have to manually install. So in this video, I'm going to show you where you can find my migration toolkit, what it does, how to use it, and how you can customize it for what you need for your Mac setups. So let's get started. So the very first thing that we need to do is actually download the migration kit scripts. And for that, I put that up on GitHub for you, and I'll leave a link in the description below. But the easiest way to get these scripts downloaded is just to go to this code block here or code button here and click on download zip. Once that's done, it's going to be inside your downloads folder on your Mac. And if you open it up, you're going to see the exact same thing that you do on GitHub. This migration kit is actually pretty simple. It only does a few things. It has a capture aspect and a install or setup aspect. The migration kit scripts that I have are all based on using Homebrew. Homebrew is a completely open package manager that anyone can install for their Mac. You can use it for installing command line utilities like iperf or ffmpeg or Python, or you can use it to install full-blown applications instead of manually going to different developer websites and downloading and running through the install process. Homebrew makes this process simple for me, and if you haven't checked it out, you probably should. The capture script actually only does a couple of things. It looks at what apps you've downloaded from the Mac App Store. It looks at your dock settings and your layout. And in this example, it grabs some specific files for me for Final Cut that I want to move from the old Mac to the new Mac. After you run the capture on the old Mac, you're going to move this whole set of files over to the new Mac, and you're going to run the setup. The setup's going to reinstall those Mac apps, move over those settings and those files that I talked about. There's a lot of system settings that I change when I set up a new Mac that I don't want to do manually. So I have a big set of settings that get implemented when I run this setup script. Things like mouse control or Finder settings or even power settings for the Mac. Things that I set on every single Mac that I want to be the same. It's also going to actually install some additional applications that I want via Homebrew. Now, if you look at the Brew apps install script, you'll see some of the apps that I'm installing using Homebrew. That includes some fonts, Google Chrome, Citrix for some work stuff, some benchmarking tools, and even ChatGPT. Between the apps from the Mac App Store and the Brew apps, this gets me nearly every app I need for pretty much every computer I deploy. Sometimes I need additional things that I'll have to download later, but this gets me everything I need to get started. Before we start the capture process, there's a couple prereqs that we need to do first, and I have them here in the README file. First, you need to give the terminal full access, then you need to make these scripts executable so you can actually run them on your computer. And it's pretty simple. I'll show you how to do both. First, we're going to go to System Settings, Privacy and Security, and Full Disk Access, and we'll tap on the plus icon here, and you can go ahead and type in your password. In Applications, we're going to go all the way down to Utilities, and we're going to add Terminal right there. And we want to go back to the downloads folder where that folder is sitting. So we'll tap up here, and here we can right click, and you'll either see down here at the bottom, New Terminal at Folder, or you'll have to click on Services and click New Terminal at Folder. Now from here, we're just going to Command Paste that command that we just copied and hit Enter. And now it's going to make those scripts in there executable so we can actually run them. The next thing to do is actually run the capture script, but I do want to call out one other thing. When running this capture script, it does need to install Homebrew on both computers. So whether you're running the capture script or the setup script, it will install the Homebrew app and it will download the Apple developer command line tools that is actually needed to do this configuration from the command line. And to run the command, over here, we're going to go back to the terminal, hit /CAP and hit tab on the keyboard just to fill it out. And we're going to hit Enter. It's going to ask for our password. And now it's going to say, hey, we need to install Homebrew. Do you want to continue? We're going to hit continue or return. And it's going to go through the process of installing Homebrew and downloading Apple's command line developer tools, which you'll see here in just a moment. And there we go. So now it's downloading the tools, and this will take a couple of minutes to finish. And then once it's done, we'll look at the files that were actually captured. All right, so the install and the capture has completed. We can see that it captured the dock layout, the App Store apps, and the Final Cut data and files that I wanted to manually move over. And if we go back to the files, we can actually see everything that was brought in. So we'll just expand it. We'll open up assets. That's the folder it created and captured. And here we can see a number of files. Here's my Final Cut Pro settings and presets that I wanted to copy over from the old computer. And here's the App Store apps. So it looked at every App Store app that I have installed on my computer, and it's information that it needs to be able to re-download that from the App Store. You can see I have some utilities up here. I have Final Cut Pro. I have Pixelmator. I have Resident Evil 4 for a game. So a number of Microsoft apps and other things that I need from the Mac App Store. If we go to the export of the dock layout, you can see everything listed here. The Passwords app, Chrome, Photos, Reminders, OneNote, all that stuff is just listed right here. And it's everything that you have pinned in the dock. So it's not capturing things that are just running here like TextEdit or Terminal. It's only capturing things that you've actually pinned to the dock. So that was the capture process. And before we move that to the new computer and do the setup, I'm wondering if something else captured your attention. Maybe it was this display back here. This video is sponsored by BenQ and their new Creative Pro PD2732U monitor. This display is all about color accuracy, covering 99% of both Adobe RGB and Display P3. So the colors being edited are actually the colors being delivered. The Nano Matte Black panel also helps deliver deeper blacks and better contrast under controlled lighting. But what really caught my attention is BenQ's corner-to-corner uniformity technology. BenQ calibrates different zones across the entire panel, keeping brightness and color more consistent from edge to edge, which is especially important for creative work. BenQ wants to make sure you have continued color accuracy. AQ Color Pilot makes it easy to recalibrate the display using compatible colorimeters and maintain an accurate, consistent color over time, even across multiple monitors. There's also some really useful features for us Mac users. MBook mode helps match the display to a MacBook. iDevice Color Sync lets you preview your work across Apple devices, and Display Pilot 2 gives you control over the monitor right from your Mac. Plus, there's another downstream Thunderbolt 4 port for daisy chaining another display or connecting accessories. Lucky for you, BenQ is giving away a Creative Pro setup featuring the new PD2732U. Just take the Color Creative Pro quiz and complete the survey to enter to win. See if you can beat my score of 205. Check out the links below to learn more about the PD2732U and BenQ Designer monitors. And thanks to BenQ for sponsoring this video. And now it's time to do the setup process on the new computer. And when you're doing your initial configuration on the new device, make sure you're setting it up as a new computer and not migrating data from another Time Machine backup or using Migration Assistant. Once you're all set up on the new device with your new user account and you're signed in with your Apple ID from the setup process, we need to move that migration kit folder from the old computer over to the new one. You can do that in all sorts of ways. You can use it with AirDrop. You can use it with copy paste between two devices. You can use network share. You can use a USB drive, however you need to get all those files from the old computer to the new computer. You can see here we have the scripts and we have all the assets that were captured on the old device. As a prerequisite, you still need to give full disk access to the terminal. However, you should not need to run that script again to make those scripts executable. So just like before, we're going to right click on the migration kit folder. We're going to go to new terminal at folder or services, new terminal at folder, whatever applies to you. And when it opens up, all we should have to do is type in the command to set up this new Mac. We're going to do //set and then tab to complete the command. And then we're going to type or hit enter. It's going to ask for our password. And now it's going to ask to make sure that we want to install Homebrew. We're going to hit return. And now Homebrew and the Apple developer command line tools are going to install just like before. After the command line tools are installed, there's a couple of prerequisites for iPerf and Git and Python that need to be installed. I'm going to hit Y to continue that. And after the prerequisites are done, it's going to start grabbing the applications that we want to actually install using Homebrew. You can see them all listed right here in green. And in just a moment, they're all going to start downloading and extracting. And they'll do that all in parallel. So if you have a good internet connection, that's going to go pretty quickly. Now my password is being requested because some applications require sudo for install. So I'm going to type in my password. And now each one of those Homebrew applications will be installed one after another. With the Homebrew applications installed, it's now going to look at the App Store apps and start downloading those and installing them. You'll see some of them pause and will say install progress cannot be displayed, and some will take a few minutes, but it's not stalled. It will keep going. Just give it a little bit of time if it's a bigger application. Even though all the installations happen in serial, it's still faster to go this route than to manually download everything from the App Store. And right after the App Store apps finish their installation, the system settings and the dock settings will apply right away. And that is it. The only other thing you need to do is look here at the bottom. It says some updates need a logout or restart to take effect. So what you're going to want to do is go ahead and restart your computer at this point. So let me go ahead and do that real quick. All right, so after rebooting, we should see that all of our settings should take effect. I don't have tags in here. Everything should be listed alphabetically in a list. I now have 3-finger drag on the window, so I don't have to tap and hold. If we look at the lock screen settings, we can see that some of my settings here were brought over. 30 minutes for turning off the display when on battery, 1 hour for when on power adapter. So it looks like everything worked as expected. The set of scripts that I have created here for Migration Kit saves me a ton of time. I set up new Macs all the time for this channel, just for personal testing, and I went from maybe a couple of hours of setup to around 15 minutes to get a new Mac up and running with basically everything I need to get started. And I'm sure there's a lot of different apps that you would prefer over the ones that I have, or system settings that I have put in here that you don't need or you want to add additional ones to. So let me show you how to customize it. So after you run the capture on the original Mac, there's probably some App Store apps that you may not want. So to change that, it's really simple to do. All you need to do is open it up, and you can remove anything in here that you don't want to have on the new Mac. Like if you don't want Resident Evil 4 and you don't want to go through a 2 or 4 gigabyte download or however big that is, then you can just simply remove it and save the file, and that's done. You won't have to install that on the new computer. To update the list of third-party apps that get installed with Homebrew, all you need to do is open that and find the name of the app inside Homebrew. So to do that, we can just go to the cask list on Homebrew. We can search for something, say you want VLC, and we'll find that VLC is actually just VLC in Homebrew, so that's easy enough. We'll just go and hide that, and we can just create a new line, space, VLC, Command S to save it, and now VLC will also be installed along with the other apps here. If you don't need these Final Cut Pro files that I have here, you can always change that as well. You can completely get rid of it, or you can just change it to files that you do need. Open up the scripts. This one's called fcp.sh, and you can adjust the files to whatever you need. So you can add the directories that you do want, delete these, change it however you want if there's specific files. Now, a lot of files I don't include in the script because I use iCloud syncing in the background. So all of my desktop and documents folders are synced via iCloud. My photos are synced via iCloud. So when I sign into the new computer, they're already getting those. But these are some of the settings within the library folder that don't get copied over in the way that I'm doing this migration. So I wanted to be sure that these copy over to the new computer. Something else you might want to change is some of the system settings. So when you open this up, I have a label here on each one of these to tell you exactly what it's doing for each of these system settings. To add another one, all you have to do is find the command, paste it in there, and then hit save. And now that new command will be ready for you, and this computer will be set up in dark mode instead of light mode. You can pretty easily find a lot of the system settings that you want to change on your Mac by Googling or using AI to find it. But you can also use AI to basically write everything for you, so you don't even have to necessarily Google individual commands and paste them in. So for example, I could create a new project in ChatGPT or Codex and just point it at the Migration Kit folder that I downloaded from GitHub and create the project. And then I can just start off with saying, read the files and tell me exactly what's happening here. Now it's going to take just a few moments for it to read all the files and summarize it for you so you can see exactly what is going on in the scripts. But let's say you don't want those Final Cut Pro files and you'd rather have it pull in your documents folder. We can tell ChatGPT to update everything for you. Remove capturing of Final Cut Pro files and instead capture my documents folder. Hit enter and we'll give it just a little bit of time. And after less than a minute, you can see that it replaced all the FCP capture stuff with my home documents folder. So now if we want to go into that scripts folder, you can see this new capture documents script. And all it's telling you is that it's going to capture the whole documents folder and place it into the assets folder, like the other items that we have. And that's going to put it right here inside this captured folder. And it will no longer copy this FCP presets folder or create that folder during the capture process. You can also have AI change some of the system settings that I have here as well. So right now we have this command inside the system settings script, which tells the menu bar spacing to basically reduce all of the spacing between the icons. So I can fit more icons up here and I don't have to worry about the notch up here on the MacBook Pro and them running into the notch. And if you prefer not to have that, you can just go ahead and type a command into AI to remove the menu bar spacing setting and hit enter and give it just a moment. And it's done. So if we go ahead and review what it did here, it's shown that it actually removed that line from the script, and you can open up the script and you'll see that indeed it has been removed from the script. So that's how I do a clean setup of all of my Macs. I'm not bringing over a bunch of crap and data from an old computer that I no longer want or need on the new one. I get to set up everything from fresh without having to manually do all the system settings and Finder preferences and download and install all the apps individually. It's just a couple of command lines and it goes from a couple hours to about 15 minutes to get up and running. Even if this doesn't seem like something that you want to do on your Macs or you're not setting up a bunch or whatever, then definitely still check out Homebrew because it's a good way to find and install applications that you normally have to do manually. Other than that, do you have any questions about this little migration toolkit thing that I built? Any comments or suggestions to make it better? Let me know in the comments down below. If you liked this video, you're going to love this video right over here. That one. Yeah. Check it out. Hit the thumbs up button if you liked it. Hit subscribe if you want, and I'll see you next time.